Hi everyone, welcome to the latest round of Iron Quest. On this call we're going to be reviewing the vizzes for the sixth round, which was food and drink. I'd like to welcome my co-host Kevin Flerlage to the call. Hi Kevin.
Hey Sarah, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
We've got around 26 vizzes to go through on this call, so we'll try and be as quick as possible whilst giving as good feedback as we can. Let me just share. So we're going to start with a viz by Young. Okay, so Young actually submitted 2 vizzes for this round, which is amazing.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So this is the first one.
He's an overachiever.
He is. And this is looking at the FOD map.
Okay.
Specifically focusing on IBS and where in the world people suffer from IBS.
Okay. Yeah, the map got me a little bit just because it's kind of cuts off the United States. Yeah, I would probably just shift that over a little bit.
I guess that might be because Young lives in Australia, I think.
Yeah, I still feel like if you cut that, you move that over to where it cuts between Alaska and like Asia, then you can still have kind of everything. So that's the one thing I would suggest there.
Yeah. I love how Young always includes all these like really distinctive images. You can look at the viz straight away and know it's his.
You always do, yeah. Very, very distinct. Always so detailed too. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole heck of a lot. I mean, I haven't read every word, but I don't have a whole heck of a lot to say other than the map. I think it looks nice. I mean,
yeah, the interactivity at the bottom is pretty cool. So you can click on the categories. Just notice there's a spelling mistake on highlight. It's just a typo, but that works really well. I think there's this has happened to me before. If you try and click on nuts and seeds, you have to kind of click slightly below the button. You see that?
I can't even seem to kind of. That was one thing I just noticed. Yeah,
that's happened to me before.
I can't click on vegetables at all. Yeah, that's really odd behavior.
Yeah, so that might be something to look at. But yeah, I can't. No, you can. I can click on vegetables, but it's. Oh no, actually, no, I can't.
Yeah, it's really weird.
If I click on vegetables, it changes to nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like super detailed and nice design and everything.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, looks nice.
All right. So the next one is by Kate. Unstoppable Kate.
Oh my gosh.
She's been giving you such a hard time. So, so this is the one that the cadence of cocktails. I think she didn't get a visit of the day, did she, for this?
Yeah, visit of the day. Yeah.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah.
It's taken ages to load.
I know. Same here. I'm loading it separately so I can kind of just play with it as well. But I mean, I guess I'll make a few comments on it. It was a gorgeous viz. I absolutely loved it because she obviously got to kind of stretch the limits of Tableau. It's not obviously not something, and she'd admit this, that you do in a business setting. So just so people are very aware of that.
I mean, it's based on The Rhythm of Food, which is by Nadia Bremer, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And it's awesome. Obviously, I wouldn't attempt this at work, and I'm sure nobody would want it in a business setting anyway. It's not practical.
Right. I guess I'm always careful to make sure people know that, because I've created stuff before and people say, I can't wait to implement that at work. I'm like, don't do that.
This could show like profit by region.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but this is gorgeous. I mean, there's not much I can say. I mean, I think it's super cool, and you can see some cool little trends. And she even called out mint julep. So I'm from Kentucky, and in I don't know, May they have the Kentucky Derby, and the big drink for Kentucky Derby is mint juleps. It's the only time of year we drink mint juleps. I'm guilty of it too. And you can, that really is called out really nicely.
Yeah, that totally threw me because I didn't know about the Kentucky Derby or the link with the drink. The only reason I know about horse racing in Kentucky is because of you. And I had to Google it because everyone on Twitter was like, oh yeah, mint julep, haha.
Right.
And I just completely missed the joke.
Yeah. Yeah, so very neat. I like her little. That she looks like she has a collapsible container for every single little viz. I mean, I just think it's just very well designed. Love the color. Fun, cool idea. So I love everything about it. Other than don't do it at work.
Yeah, agreed.
Good job, Kate. Yours is way better than mine.
All right, next up we've got Garfa. Noodles one.
Ooh, ramen noodles. Ooh, I like the top.
Mm-hmm. He's obviously a huge fan of ramen noodles. It's like a, it's just great.
My kids are too, but so just one thing I noticed on that, I don't know, sort of like a barbell chart, I guess, on the left is there's some overlap between, like if you look at Ace Cook and Annie, there's some overlap. This probably just reduce the size of that. I mean, I think the stars are a little big too, so probably just reduce the size of a lot of that. And that may be some rendering issue, and it may look different in desktop than in public, but it's still clean. Yeah,
I agree.
I don't love that big dark font either.
It's quite like demanding, right? It's dominating the viz. I would like maybe tone it down, make it a little bit grey, rather than like so dark.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of fonts used here too, which is kind of off-putting sometimes. You know, the first font you see, and then to the right, there's a bigger, bolder font, kind of in the same italics, probably the same font, but different size, bold. Below that's another font. Below that's another font. I think just probably would trim it down to maybe a couple different sizes and a couple different fonts. But I like the interactivity when you click on. Well, there's something kind of odd. I can't quite figure it out. Did you
click in on a flag?
I'm clicking on where it says choose your style up at the top.
Okay.
Unselect option before clicking another one. Oh, that's interesting. You have to unselect before selecting another one.
Okay.
I'm kind of curious how. I would think of it as a parameter. If you just use a parameter action, you wouldn't have to do the deselect.
Yeah, so it automatically just switches, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how he did that or why he chose that. But the flags.
I personally wouldn't use the flags just because when you start using flags, you end up with quite a lot of detail and so many different colors.
I agree. I just don't like all the color.
And I admit I don't know what all these flags are. Like
I don't either. I know some of them, and some of them are cut off there too. So
yeah, I mean, I think just a standard like drop down would be fine, and it would take.
And interestingly, I don't see country flag or you don't see this United States. Not to say it has to be the United States on there, but I'm just kind of surprised. I'm sure we consume a ton of random noodles.
Yeah, I mean they're big in the UK as well, and the UK's not there.
Yeah, there's that overlap on that same type of chart as well.
How do you feel about the black bar chart?
I would have preferred to be gray or something like that. He uses a lot of gray in here, so I would probably just do like a light gray or something like that.
I think that those bars are so wide as well.
Yeah, they're pretty wide. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd just make them a bit smaller and tone it down. Yeah,
kind of the same with that line.
That line doesn't need to be that
not moving a lot either. So,
and I'd make that chart smaller because
it's very wide.
It's too wide. I think if you made it narrower, you'd probably see more of a change.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. All right. Yeah, I think I like I love the idea. I love the little header. I like the interactivity. I think it's a nice viz. Just I'd probably get rid of some of that dark, bold colors and maybe clean up some of the fonts. But other than that, I think it's nice.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so next up we have Young again, viz number 2.
Man,
He was on fire.
And you can, as soon as you pull it up, you can just tell a young
Viz. Yeah. So this is the microbiology of beer. Wow, nice. I really love the font that he's used for, like, the global beer consumption in a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah. What is this showing?
So again, we've got the map projection different to what you'd expect. But again, I think that's probably because Young's based in APAC.
Does it look different on your screen than mine?
Mine's centered on Australia.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It didn't cut. It doesn't cut off.
It doesn't cut off like the last one did. The other one was more to the right.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, the Australians consume the least amount of beer.
Yeah, but that is volume, so that makes sense because China's got the most people and Australia's fairly small. I'm assuming that's the only reason, right?
I guess so. The colors threw me a bit because I'd expect the darker color to be the ones that consume more. In this case, it's reversed.
I would agree with you. I would definitely reverse that.
Yeah. So just keep like the one that's currently 10,000 and over. I'd make that the minimum one. I
think for this microbiology, I mean, you know that Young's going to throw something in there like that just because kind of his expertise. I absolutely love it because I always thought these what you call plum pudding charts that that's an all kind of and Kaiser Benedict kind of named. Yeah, I always thought they look like petri dishes when you use circles. So I think it's
they're perfect. Yeah. I think that's the first time he's done those, if I recall as well. I don't remember him seeing one before.
They look great. I think it looks fantastic.
They look really good.
I love it. It's total Young type viz, very informative. Got some fun little elements. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, what I really like, he's actually got a link to another one of his vizzes. There's a little picture at the bottom left, which is pretty cool.
Oh, all about fermentation.
Mm.
Oh, perfect. Gosh, it's intense.
Okay, right. The next one is by Royce. And this is looking at Singapore's hawker culture. So I spent ages looking at this viz when it was first published. So I was super interested in what it was showing. That's not something I'd ever really looked into before.
Yeah, I don't even know what hawker culture means.
It's like street food. People selling food on the street.
Interesting. Singapore is ranked first in the world's 50 best cities for street food. Huh. Cool. It's a little small.
Yeah, so I'd say that I'm not 100% sold on the bar chart with the rotated labels because I'm finding I'm turning my head to the side to read them all. But I guess that's a space issue, right?
Oh, no, at the top. Yeah. I mean, normally, I think we would probably do the same thing is just make that a vertical bar chart so the text is horizontal, but yeah.
And I can see quite a lot of fonts, like different fonts going on. So they've got.
I see the same thing. It's one of those things I always notice when, a lot of different sizes, a lot of different fonts.
And if we bear in mind, so obviously the IMViz scoring principles, design, storytelling, analysis, I think that using multiple different fonts would probably be something you'd be marked down on, or you wouldn't get the highest points you could for design by using lots of different fonts.
Totally agree.
So that's something to bear in mind.
The scatter plot's really small. I don't.
Yeah.
Quite percent of people who tried and is it a jitter?
I think it's jittered, yeah. Because the height doesn't mean anything, right?
Singapore who try. Oh, that's interesting.
So you can select a country and
a lot of color in here too. It's a pretty good job of tying it in though with images and stuff, which is pretty nice. But
so the text is highlighted, isn't it, in the color that aligns with the charts. But each chart is in a different color.
Right. Yeah. Little. and just, I don't know, something that Jeff Schaefer's kind of instilled in me is the bar charts hanging on nothing always bugs me. So you look at all these bar charts, there's no axis that they're sitting on. It's really, really noticeable in the one that says amenities deemed important in a neighborhood.
Yeah, it just kind of, there's nothing.
Sort of,
yeah, I know what you mean. There's no line.
Yeah. So I always prefer to have something for those bars to sit on. And it looks like he does that in most spots. And, and that's more of a preference thing. But for me, it's just something weird. The area chart, I think, is too wide. I don't know if there's any rule of thumb, but I always try to keep them. This is about 5 times as wide as it is tall. So
I think we usually say 4x2. Is it either, or is it on the?
I've heard 2x3 as well, or 3x2. So it's just a little too wide compared to how tall it is.
Yeah, and again, it's like the last viz. It's because it's stretched so much. There's after 2008, there's very little change. Whereas if you push it together a little bit more, I think you might see more going on.
The median age is really interesting. That's a really cool call out.
Definitely, yeah. But again, you've got that kind of like hovering kind of bar chart. I mean, I'd argue that you could probably get away with using a band for that rather than a bar chart at all.
Probably, right. I would agree with you. And I just find that statistic so interesting, because if we look at people this is basically like street food trucks, those kinds of things, for Cincinnati, we're not some huge town, but in Cincinnati, it's the young mid 20-year-olds that are out eating street food and food trucks, and they're kind of in like the cool hip areas. So it's that median age of 60 just is so not intuitive at all to me. It's interesting. They did a good job with the images for the most part. I think they're pretty consistent, which is nice. Sometimes you see inconsistencies there, but
I agree. The images are good. They're all like those like faceless people.
Right.
There's a chart at the bottom. It's is that like a custom map box background, you think? The map, sorry.
Yeah. I would think it.
I'd say it's not fixed, so I mean I can scroll out and start, seeing the rest of the world. So I'd fix that just to Singapore.
Yeah, that's I got a blog post that comments on that. So I mean, sometimes it's okay to leave that. If you're focused on the whole world and you want to be able to move around, but you're focused on a region and they're not going to really move. They're not going to really zoom into this little small region. Yeah, fix that thing for sure. Turn those map options, fix it, and turn those map options off.
Yeah, and then the chart below the other scatter, that jitter. There's like a grid background, and the text is really small, which makes it hard to read.
Yeah, in fact, you look at the lower tier, the second one from the bottom, you see that one of those. I don't know how that's happening.
That's the one I mean, the one with the tiers.
Yeah, you can see one of those labels, the top label is actually cut off by this line, which means this is probably not an axis. Or I don't really know how that's happening, but it's actually cutting off. So, yeah, I don't think those lines are those dark lines are that necessary.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Very nice style.
I like it.
Royce's work, so this is really nice.
Okay, next up we've got Ash. So I think Ash used one of his Makeover Monday submissions. Yeah, fast food in the US.
Such a clean style. Ash has just everything he does is really clean and really neat.
Yeah, Ash has this unique style where he generally splits the viz in two and does 2 different charts, or he'll do a chart and some bands and then another chart. It's very distinctive to Ash.
Yeah,
and we joke every week on Makeover Monday calls that we just look at the viz straight away and know it's his.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what he's done here with like kind of like I don't know what you call them, like the incident bars, aligned with the scatter, so you can kind of see the distribution.
Yeah, very nice. So it's kind of the same. Yeah, it's kind of the same insights you saw a lot with that Makeover Monday data set, that Subway has a ton of locations and low sales per location. McDonald's has the most locations and biggest sales, and Chick-fil-A has the best sales per location. So
why is that? Why is Chick-fil-A so popular?
I have no idea. They're even closed on Sunday. I mean, I like it. I think generally people think of it as healthy. It's always clean. People are really nice there. But what's really, and a lot of people talked about this, is they're closed on Sunday. They are operating 1/7 less of every other restaurant on this list, and they still have more sales per location. It's interesting because when you go into Chick-fil-A, and
I've been to Chick-fil-A, I just don't see why it's so popular. Don't tell Jeremy Paul I said that, but
yeah, people love it. But every time I go in there, it is packed. It looks like the wait for a roller coaster. There's these little lines, that swirl back and forth, and there's probably 20, 30 people in line every time I go there. So I don't know. I like it. It's good. It's clean. It's nice. But I don't really get why it blows everybody else out of the water.
No.
I also like Subway. So, but nice Viz. I don't have much to comment on. I like the gray for everything else, and the colors for just the 3 restaurants he's focusing on.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like the fact that uses the color in the text to the left to kind of encode that. I think it's very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Okay, well done, Ash. Okay, next up we have Maria. Maria's on fire. I'll just say that now. Like, she's just incredible.
And I've been lucky enough to have a phone call with her, and she's really, really nice, and she appreciates everybody in the community, and she's super talented. I mean, just look at this. This is stuff she's doing maps that
she's gone all Johnny Walker on us.
What's that?
She's gone all Johnny Walker.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. It's awesome. I just love, she's not focused on this whole map. She's just really focused on one region, but it kind of gives you context. So I think it's great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I really love this. There's nothing that I would change.
Simple bars. I love the clean bars. She doesn't have an axis either, but this for some reason feels okay on those bars, and the font is great.
Yep.
The color, she uses 2 colors. I mean, well, gray, but it's really this green and this yellow color and a gray bars. It's just, I love it.
It's good. I like how she zoomed in on the map. You've got that kind of magnifying glass, and then the other map at the top for some context.
Really simple. Yeah, it does have this feel of a Johnny Walker Viz, just because he's got this, this big map with the focus on the map, and then there's just these other little small elements that just add to it, like the little bar chart and the small map. It's just love it.
And a really nice font as well. I don't know what font this is, but
I don't either, but I want to know.
Yeah. Okay, well done, Maria. Okay, next up we have Frederick.
Oh, is this the hamburger? Oh no,
this is the Michelin stars. So I spent a long time looking at this one as well, because I was like super interested. I didn't know that the Michelin stars guide was the same people. Was it the same people that actually did Michelin tires?
Really?
Mm-hmm. So if you read the viz in detail, it tells you the story. But it's super interesting, and it's all about like how the restaurants get their stars and how tough it is to actually get them, to the point that some of these chefs have actually committed suicide because they're so stressed with this whole Michelin star kind of burden.
It's really interesting so this is the one where I kind of would like to be able to zoom into that map, because what I see is just
Europe,
restaurants in the States, and just lots in France, and I just would really like to get down to the details, because you can tell there's lots of overlap there. That says 137 stuff, and it's
I
really
agree. There's no way. I mean, he says in the viz that they're biased towards French restaurants. And so it'd be nice to be able to zoom in, because there's just too much overlap, right?
I like the use of color. I like the simple color. I mean, I think that keeps it simple. You don't have to think too hard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that chart says. I don't necessarily love where it says chefs return their stars. I don't love the background being red. I'd probably take that chart and kind of flip it and make the background the same color as the background of the viz, and then use the red color with the text and the icons. It feels blocky when you do that.
It does, but I guess he's kind of balanced it out by doing something similar down below, so you don't know Alcazine.
Yeah,
it's the same. But I agree. It just feels it kind of breaks it up a bit and stops.
I also see that in that the chefs return their stars, the third one down, the name of the restaurant's cut off.
In my copy, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so again, I kind of see some of the same things. The fonts again, there's lots of different sizes. I mean, that's pretty good with the headers. Are pretty much similar, but there are some different sizes and stuff.
I'd keep it consistent with the icons as well, because on most of the titles the icons are on the left, but for some reason the links to Suicide One, it's on the right.
I noticed that one as well, and the space between the words and the icon is a lot larger too, and it's
and then on the it's Michelin sexist chart, you've got a border around the edge. I'll just take that off. I don't think it adds anything.
Totally agree. 5 female chefs. Well, that's so interesting.
It's crazy, right?
I would be curious to
I'd like to know the distribution overall, because I get a sense that a lot of chefs are male.
Yeah, I mean, I personally know a lot of different people that are chefs or in restaurants, and I don't know any of them that are females. So I'd be willing to bet that lines up pretty well with the distribution. But that'd be really interesting to see. Is it that many more men to women? Where the ratio is pretty close to similar. I don't know. It'd be neat to see.
Yeah,
it's amazing that we're only like 6 into this, and it's just amazing the different topics.
I know, right?
By it, it's just,
and there's so many more to come.
Like this is incredible to me that there's 3 or 4 things I've never even heard of, and
you must have heard of Michelin stars, right?
What's that?
You've heard of Michelin stars,
I've never heard of Michelin stars.
Really? I guess well, you can see from the map it's more popular in Europe. Yeah, but it's a big deal, like in the UK at least. Like if
there's probably people that are more into food. I'm not a big foodie or whatever.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to go to a Michelin starred restaurant anyway, really. There's actually one near where I live. Funny enough, it's French. But they're the kind of restaurants where you get a really tiny portion and lots of different, you get about 10 courses, but very small.
Right.
And they'll charge you like £100 or more. But anyway.
All right.
Okay, next up we have Whitney. So this one was a visit of the day. You may remember it's on Napa Valley.
Yeah, and I think she won a competition for this. I think she won like an internal.
Yeah, she did. I think it was like
it says Iron Napa train.
Yeah, she at her company, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I reached out to her and said that it's on topic. I think maybe both of us did, and that she should enter it for this.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
So I did get. So I'll call out the map that got me again. So I was scrolling. I just used my wheel to kind of scroll down the viz, and it went over the map and it scrolled me out, and then so it's just one of those things. Turn off.
Also on the map, I would add borders to the dots, just because you've got a lot of overlap going on, or make them slightly transparent.
Make them all. Agreed. Yep, I'm with you.
I do like how she's put the filter section with a grey background. One of my clients does that, and I think it works quite well. It kind of sections that part off.
Totally agree.
But I would probably make it a little bit lighter grey. I'm being really awkward, but you've got I don't know, it's just that those two sections either side that are in the dark grey kind of, my attention's drawn there and not to the main body of the viz.
Agreed. Yep, definitely lighter gray. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty important part. So I was originally thinking maybe you just put it in a collapsible container, get it out of the way, but it's a pretty integral part of the viz. So I probably leave that. One thing that I see here is like, what are my options over the right with all that text? It's
and it's cut off as well, right?
Cut
Unless
off.
you can see it in the tooltip, but
yeah, I'm a little.
So if you,
okay.
I mean, I guess the idea is you say where you're staying, you put in your selections, you select the type, and then you'll get a shorter list.
I'm looking for older than 2000. I'm just going to give it a try real quick.
I'm doing the same.
Yeah, it does trim it down. It still cuts it off quite a bit. So I don't know if I've got the list is long too. Can't seem to scroll it for some reason.
There is a scroll bar.
Yeah, it was just couldn't click on it. Yeah, that list is pretty long. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty long. So
I don't know what the option. I mean, I don't know. It's difficult because there's so much information there. I don't know how this could be.
Yeah, I don't
made
either.
any better, you know.
And I would hate to have it all in a tooltip. That'd be a little difficult to read. But
the only thing I would change is that the easy button at the bottom just doesn't seem to go with the style of the viz.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. You kind of think wine, you think classy, not the sort of abrupt button, but yeah, I think it's nice. And Whitney's super cool, by the way. If you didn't get a chance to meet her, she's really.
Have you met her?
Yeah, I met her at the conference this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like it. It's informative. I like the interactivity. I like the idea of planning your visit as you change those selections. Changes different winery locations. A ton of information in here. Yeah, just think that maybe removing some of the blockiness of it. And I think you talked about that with the gray.
Yeah.
Image up top is a little blocky. Personally, I like to round off the images, or I don't know if that would work in here, but maybe. I don't know, make it transparent.
Maybe,
of it. I don't know.
Or maybe even make it a transparent kind of background with the header on. Yeah,
exactly.
Stretch it right across.
Right across the top. Yep.
It just gets fiddly. I mean, I'm talking from personal experience. When you try and it's just the sizing, you have to get it right, exactly right, and it doesn't always work, but it's worth a shot.
Easier said than done, but the interactivity is good. I mean, she won her competition at work, so
yeah,
very talented for sure. So that's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's some interactivity too. If you click on, the description,
yeah,
trying to figure out, it actually takes you to
okay, map,
a map of the vineyard. So that was kind of
that's cool.
Yeah.
So then I'd say if that's the case, then it does say click on the winery to locate it on the map. I missed that.
Yeah.
I was going to say include a description that it does that, but it's already there. All right. Okay, next up we have Michelle Freeman.
She was one of the nicest surprises at the conference. Not to say that I was surprised that she was just super cool, but I hung out with her probably more than anybody at the conference.
Michelle's, well, I spent most of the time with you, so we're probably with Michelle as well. Yeah. But yeah, Michelle's awesome. So I got to know Michelle through doing Naked for Monday Viz Reviews. So she joined every week, and she made them super fun.
She's awesome. Yeah. And
she got a visit of the day for this. It was the first ever visit of the day.
It was.
So, yeah.
I must have missed this. I don't remember seeing this one.
This is, I spent a lot of time looking at this. So it's all about Gourmet Magazine. I
love the timeline at the top.
Yeah.
And the choice of using diamonds, I would have never thought of it, but it is fantastic. It looks awesome. The font's pretty consistent. She uses like 3 different sizes, and then she uses...
Yeah, so I think she can get away with it. So she's used the same font for all the titles, right? And then everything else is in a different font. but it's consistent at least.
It's consistent, yeah.
And the colors are consistent.
I still would prefer a little axis for the bars to sit on.
I think, you know, that would look really nice because she's got the line at the end.
Yep, agreed.
And a line on the axis would balance it out.
I noticed something on, and we're just picking at this point. I mean,
she's got Viz of the Day already. I mean, she's
yeah,
got any
great.
of this.
The middle section with the why did the Condé Nast kill Gourmet? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's you're gonna take the chart. It's two charts, right? You've got the add decline, and then there's a separate chart. Or I'm a little bit confused by that section.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand it either. But one thing I noticed, just design wise, is that the axis on the first set of bars is thin, and then the other three set of bars is thicker. Now, I've seen those kind of just be rendering issues on Tableau Public, so it could be that. But yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand. What's the Gourmet versus Bon Appetit? So it's.
But these are all individual charts. So you've got add decline, circulation, reader income.
Yeah, they're definitely all on different scales.
Because obviously add decline is going the opposite way because it's the decline. But when I look at it like this, it makes me feel like it's one chart or maybe two. It's because they're all so close together.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a little. Yeah, you kind of tend to think when they're lined up vertically or horizontally like this that they'll all be on the same scale, and they're not. So that I don't really quite understand the scale, but
I think maybe she added some borders, kind of like the borders that Mira does, kind of boxing them off, and maybe changed the headers, just made them bolder, and made them look more like the Gourmet versus Bon Appetit section on the right.
Agreed.
I think you could probably get away with it.
From the page to my table, actual time versus total time. Wow, this is great. 30 minutes.
Apricot glazed chicken, 9 hours.
I found something short. That's awesome. That's a nice chart. Just a really nice chart in general. So it's just.
Yeah, and I like that she used the tone radar chart tutorial for the radars.
She used what?
Tone Tableau Magic, his radar chart tutorial, and I think it turned out really well.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I love them. I do with radar charts personally. I like a background image that just helps you understand how. It's hard for me to look at, say, the second one and understand which ones are. Without a center point, it's hard to tell how far they're extending out. So
I agree. Like a faint background. I've just done one. You can build it in. Ken's got a tutorial on it, right?
He does. I mean, I did. Yeah, he has a whole tutorial. I did one recently. I didn't even look at his tutorial. Don't say anything to anybody. I just that everybody's listening. But I just drew the background images circles and like concentric circles, and I used Tableau to do it. It was pretty easy, and if you do that, then you can size the chart the exact same with the same axes as the radar chart, and you can be certain instead of using like a background image, you can be certain it lines up perfectly.
That's a good idea.
I don't remember what Ken did. He probably does that in his, but I think it just gives more context. It helps us to understand those measurements a little bit better.
He's got a template, so his is you just put your data in and then it does it for you.
And does it have the background?
It's not circular; it's radar. But you put
it's got it right.
Yeah, but I've done it in Excel before. In Excel, you can start creating a radar without actually having any data. So you put your points on, and then you get the background. But it's really hard to align it once you put it into Tableau and get the sizing. Like you say, finding the center point, and it's a bit fiddly.
Right, and that's exactly why I like to draw the background image in Tableau, because then you can decide, you can set the axes to be the same as the radar chart, and then you can float them on top of each other and set them to the exact same size, and you're kind of guaranteeing. But again, we're just picking. I think the radar charts are really nice. I think she did a good job on it.
Yeah. I like how this is so personal as well. So she talks about how,
I do too.
She's made these and how they turned out, or memories, and the recipes as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, the top. It's gorgeous. It just feels like, I don't know. It just reminds me of Hesham Iron Viz, Josh Smith Iron Viz. It just has a really nice feel. Lots of spacing, which I have a little bit of a tough time with, like giving a lot of space and not having to fill that space. And just, I love it.
Yeah. Well done, Michelle. All right, next up we have.
I am halfway through. We better start.
I know, we need to hurry up. Okay, next up we have Gary. This is Gary's first Iron Quest entry.
So one thing I noticed is when I was loading it, it looks like it's got a different font than what it's written. So
the header changes as well, the alignment.
So I don't think he used a web safe font there. So that's common. Yeah, that's a common issue. All right.
So first of all, I really like the way he's shown sugar, like grains. I think that works really well.
Agreed. Part of me would rather see it kind of the color palette flip, though. I almost rather see it a dark background and a light, because that looks more like pepper than sugar. You know what I mean? Just
I get what you mean. Yeah.
I love the way he laid out this viz using those. I don't know if they're sigmoids. Maybe I'm assuming they're sigmoid curves.
I'll call them like Hesham lines, right?
It's a great way to. I never thought about using them to guide the user through the viz. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's. I mean, normally you have those like kind of squared lines, like the one Mira uses, which work.
Yeah, but this is a really nice way. It's so easy to just go through and to read this viz. Love the bands throughout. Love the font size of the bands. I love the fonts. I mean, he's really consistent with his font usage. The fonts are pretty much the same size.
Yep.
The big problem I see is because that font is not a web safe font, we have things really rendering weird.
Yeah, you've got alignment, that triangle at the bottom, the 50% is like off to the left.
Way off to the left. The circle to the bottom right. The text is aligned to the top versus in the center. And I think that's probably all caused by the font. So,
yeah, I imagine so. I'd say, if you want to be really sure that things are going to display correctly, then you use an image, as painful as it can be.
If you want to use that font, right?
Yeah.
I talked to Lindsay Poulter. She loves Avenir font. I also love Avenir font. And I said, how are you using that? And she said she uses an image for like every single viz that she does. She uses an image.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a viz. You've seen it. I'm going to publish it next week. That it's pretty much all images. Built in PowerPoint, right? And it's painful to build, but I guess it's worth it. I hope.
It was very nice. I like this viz. I love the simple colors. There's 3 colors in the whole entire thing. Other than the fonts, the pack bubble chart. Maybe you flop that out for a bar chart, because it is really hard to compare those.
It is, yeah.
But I get why I did it. It's kind of got all these circular elements. I'd probably change that to a bar chart. But other than that, I think it's really nice.
Yeah, I really like it. Well done, Gary. Right. Gary. Moving on. Next up, we have Kinsey.
So I met Kinsey at the Women's and Analytics Conference last year. So
okay.
Yeah, she's
been quite active recently.
Yeah,
this is a viz of the day as well, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I really like the design. Again, like consistent use of color and consistent fonts.
I love the breaking out of the. I don't usually use a lot of lines. I usually use more white space, but I actually really like how she just kind of got the lines kind of separating. I probably would add a little more white space between the sections. Yeah. But at the bottom, the chart, it's an actual chart, and she did a fantastic job of making, well, there's some images in there, but generally she made a fantastic job of making this look like like a label on a.
Yeah, you're in America. Your labels look different to ours. This is
Oh, that doesn't look
like
like.
no, but I know what your ones look like, so I know what you mean. But yeah, she did an amazing job at that. I hadn't realized that was a built-in tableau.
Did just have something kind of disappear on me. I don't know how I made that disappear. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I other than maybe spacing it out, the only thing I don't like, I'm not particularly sold on, is the did you know on the caffeine content chart.
Did you know? Where's that at?
In the middle.
Oh, because of how it's rotated?
Yeah. So I'd be inclined to put that in that space you've got next to cappuccino, pumpkin latte, etc., and rotate it back so it's horizontal.
Totally agree. Yeah, I don't think much if you rotate that. If you rotated that to where you could read it horizontally, I don't think you anything with that. So
no.
Looks very nice.
Okay. Next up we have Brian Moore.
Is this guy on fire or what?
I know, and it's not a sports viz.
No. I saw this, man. So there's some sneaky little things in here that I don't think that people quite may not grasp.
Yeah.
The sizing of those, the fact that each of those little I don't know what I just did. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. Let me refresh that. Making the size of the
squares
as you go out further. It's not overly tricky, but it's a tricky little thing to do. You gotta really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you were to just use the same angle, then those bars or squares or whatever they stretch out.
They'd get bigger. Yeah, like a stacked bar, like a radial. Yeah.
The circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So as the radius gets larger, the circumference gets larger. And if you don't change the number of values in each of those rings, then you get larger, a bigger circumference for each of the marks. So
yeah,
it's really, really cool. I mean, just the design, it just looks like something you'd see in Egypt or something. It's just,
I could imagine this in a bar, like printed as like a menu.
Yeah.
Before, where they have it's quite common. You see these data viz kind of esque things where you have. I've seen one for like gin, and it tells you there's like a quadrant, and you see like different gins and what they go well with, or But this reminds me of that.
Now the only thing is with this is that it's just super heavy in information, and it's kind of hard to get at all of it. If we're going to be, I think this was probably designed as data art, not as like something to get quick insights from. But if I click on whiskey,
then
there's probably 200 little marks in there, and it'd be really difficult to ever kind of get at any specifics. So the only other thing I would like to see maybe in here is some ability, maybe it's in a collapsible container or something kind of hidden out of the way, but you can click and say, all right, I want to hear about the Maker's Mark is a type of bourbon. It's about an hour from my house. So I want to learn what he has to say about Maker's Mark, so to be able to get down to a particular product or type of whiskey or type of bourbon or type of gin would be kind of neat. But
yeah, I agree.
It's gorgeous.
But I can't fault the design. And you've got the instructions and the ingredients for every single cocktail.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So if you click on the square, you select a drink. So select like a whiskey or vodka, and then you go through to like a menu, like a recipe.
It's awesome. Love it. Keep crushing it, Brian. It's awesome.
Okay, next up we have Young again. I didn't realize I'd done
3 of them. Golly.
This guy's unstoppable. Sorry, I thought you only had 2. Sorry, Young. Okay, this one is, this is like a quantified self, and this tracks all the meals that he's cooked over.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Since he moved to Australia, so since 2017. And then breaks them down by, vegetarian or meat and ingredients that he used in each one.
I love little things like when people don't take themselves too serious and they say, how to read this thing. I love that. It's a
Yeah,
self-quantified.
it's really playful, and I love the icons that he uses. I don't know where he gets them from, but they're so him.
Yeah, yeah, and they're consistent too. Sometimes people he's not using filled icons and then places used, outline icons and
yeah, because it can be quite hard to get them all consistent.
So he pretty much eats onions every day. Oh no, that's yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Date for more information.
He eats a lot of
wow, he's even got a picture of what he made. Wow, that's intense.
Where'd you get that?
If you hover over the date,
okay,
on the left hand side.
Oh wow! Okay, I missed that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That is insane. And it highlights the line too, which is really nice.
Yeah, the interactivity. So
he likes onions, looks like.
He often posts his meals to Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
So I think he cooks in bulk, and then portions it out for the week. Yeah. But no, I love it. It's really cool. And you've got this whole section at the bottom as well. So like the chopping board. And
check out the pie chart to the right is look at 28% of his dishes are curry dishes.
Yeah. Why is that so funny?
I just can't believe that. That's a lot of curry. I don't.
Yeah, but I think it's not. I don't think he's cooking like intense curries. I think it's maybe curry spiced.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it even says young 60% success rate curry sauce.
Yeah, so like Thai curry, it's not like Indian curry.
This is great. I love it. It's total young. I love the playful nature.
Let's chuck everything in. I have Asian sauce. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
It's really honest. I mean, he's not saying,
I'm signing in real quick, and I'm going to favorite that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
3 of them. Wow. Total overachiever.
I know. You beat Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next up we have Chris Westlake. So Chris is also a student ambassador.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's based up in Scotland. This is looking at food banks. So the people that provide like emergency food for people in need in the UK. Like it's super interesting analysis, but one thing I'd say is that I'd make like we said before, I'd make the line chart a bit narrower. It's stretched right across, and I don't think it needs.
I'm actually thinking he's doing himself a disjustice without. If you look at the first mark, it's 26,000. Last mark is 1.6 million. It just doesn't look like that. Based on what I'm looking at, I would expect, if I had to guess, I would have guessed that last mark to be about 60,000.
Well, potentially do you think the axis is truncated?
I'd say that axis is definitely truncated, which I think is okay in the line chart. The problem is it's really squished.
Yeah. that's an incredible stat, right? That there's that many more people needing to go to the emergency food bank.
Yeah, it's not like twice or 3 times as much. It's like it's just this huge increase. I also see that his first couple marks are cut off.
Yeah, I can see that. That's why it makes me think it's truncated.
Definitely.
Yeah. What I'd like to see is this as a slope chart with each region. So he's got the bars, and showing it that each one's increased. I'm not sold on those arrows. I just think they're a little bit distracting. But it would be really nice to show that as a slope chart and see like the rate of increase by region.
I totally agree with you, Sarah. That would be great. And you could even do something like you could even use the bars. I don't know if you saw Andy's Makeover Monday. I think it was for that food, the McDonald's and Subway data set.
Yeah.
He used bars on both sides, but then slope chart. It was I absolutely loved it.
That would be awesome, and that would work really well here. I also think he's doing himself an injustice with the bands. Make them big. They're too small.
I agree. That's part of the name. So I agree. And then the labels on the bars, I think, are a little bit small. I don't think, I don't think you need the decimal point in the percentages. And there's not enough information. No. So I think you get rid of those. And I think the bars could be a little bit bigger, or maybe just the font size should be a little bit bigger, a little easier to read.
And he's also doing the floaty bar chart as well, like you mentioned before. On the map, there's a really big tooltip, which is showing the increase by adults and children. I just think, you could put them on top of each other and make it a lot narrower, because the minute I hover on Scotland, it covers the entire UK and beyond.
Totally agree. And when I hover over it, there's this little X in a box.
I don't know what that is.
I don't think that's intentional.
I
like the spacing. I'd probably lighten up the background a little bit. I don't mind a little bit of color in the background. I'd probably lighten it up a little bit. I think it kind of makes some of that gray text blend in a little too much.
Just white would be fine.
I think white would be fine. I mean, if you wanted to use a gray, but it just needs to be lightened up a little bit. But and I just think the fonts need to be bigger. I'm at 100%, and I have pretty good vision. I have a little hard time reading the countries on that vertical bar chart, and definitely have a hard time reading the labels on the bar charts themselves. So just a little bit bigger fonts all around, I would think. But but especially really the main thing in this viz is that first chart is, I just feel like it's deceiving. And I'm sure he didn't mean to. He's probably just trying to conserve some space. But I make the dashboard taller and show that.
You give more space to the header as well, but at the title.
Agreed.
It's quite small at the top there. I do really like how he's included the call to action at the bottom and the ability to click through to the Tresell Trust and donate.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love doing that in business. I do it all the time. So like, so what? When I'm done reading this viz, so what? Well,
I think, and then with this kind of viz, like the social good kind of aspect comes in, and I think it's a really nice touch to do that.
Agreed.
Okay, next up we have Simon Rowe. Another one that's doing great things. Sports Sunday.
Absolutely.
This is looking at restaurant health inspections in Chicago. I really love the design. I said to him that you could imagine this in a frame, in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's quite scary if you actually start digging into the.
No, I don't know if I want to.
No, you're not in Chicago, so it's fine.
Yeah, but still, fail.
I'm not. How do you feel about the stack bars?
I think they're just hard to read. I don't like stack bars. I almost never use them. And the only time I really ever use stack bars is when I'm measuring a percentage and I'm looking at two different values, so that I can compare the left side and the right side, or the top and the bottom. You know what I mean? So I almost never use them. So I would not use them here either.
Yeah, it does make it really hard to see trends. I mean, maybe if you did 100%, if you did 100% stack bars, that might work better because you'd get the consistent.
But then you still have the guys stuck in the middle that you have nothing.
Yeah, you've got nothing to compare it to.
Yeah. I do think the fonts, again, I'm looking at this 100%, and I still think the fonts are really small in this one as well.
Yeah, the text, not the chart font, but the text around really tiny.
Text. Yeah. I do love the way he laid out the bands. I think that looks awesome.
Yeah.
I love the title.
And the font that he's using is really nice as well.
Yeah, I want to know what font that is.
It's very like Art Deco, kind of 1920s.
Yeah.
Style.
I really like the spark lines. They look nice.
Yeah, I like those.
The bars, again, I still think even the labels on the bars are they look like they might be bold. I think that makes them harder to read. So maybe I'd pull the bold off but make them it looks like Georgia font. So maybe make them not bold and make it just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I agree. And then you've got the bars at the bottom, which that's the scary part. Like employee health was like the second top violation. I don't even want to know what that is.
I don't know how much I want to read here.
Yeah, anyway.
Looks like the labels are different colors on the bar on the left and the bar on the right. Looks like the labels are different colors.
Yeah, they're slightly brighter on the left.
Yeah. I just think that maybe pulling the bold off would help make that a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
But generally, yeah, I really like it. Again, the stacked bars are probably change. Maybe make this just I don't know how many different colors are in there. 4. So maybe just make that like 4 different.
It's 5.
Bars.
It aligns. It's these 5. The pass with conditions.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, really nice.
Some interactivity would be good. So like I'm clicking on the bars next to the spark lines. It would be nice if they highlighted the chart on the right as well.
Yeah, and one thing that I've been doing a lot recently, I'll come back to Brian Moore. He had put out a little tip on how, like, if you click on that bar, you see what happens is it selects that bar, but there's no interactivity whatsoever. So it doesn't really do anything, but it makes everything grays out or almost makes everything else white.
Yeah.
And Brian has this cool little trick where you basically just create a calculation. I call it fake highlight, and it's just nothing. It's just 2 single quotes. And then you add that to the detail of your chart, and then you add it on the dashboard. You add a dashboard action, a highlight action, and you call that particular calculation. In the selected fields at the bottom, you select that field only. And what happens is it doesn't do that white or that grain out of the background. It takes about 30 seconds to do. It's super easy. Yeah, and it just cleans up if you especially if you don't have interactivity, it's just a really nice way to not allow that selection in the because you see it all the time.
It's also, that's an awesome trick, because sometimes when you select things, it just spoils the viz. When the Tableau kind of has its own way of, it does like this default like yellow when you do some of the dashboard actions. It's really annoying.
Yep. So I use that little Brian's trick in almost every viz. It's really nice.
Okay, we're nearly there. Next up we have Regis. So this one, it totally reminded me of Will Strauss and Young to some extent as well, the picture.
Yeah. When I pulled it up, I'm like, Young, do a 4. I met Regis the first time I met Regis at the conference too. She was really cool. Awesome.
I met her last year and then again this year. Well, sorry, year before last, and then again last year. I do like this. I like the heat map. I think that's really good. To see it at a glance. I'm not sure there's not really any interactivity on the chart in the middle apart from just tooltips.
Yeah, I'm just reading through it. Squash, corn. Yeah. It's nice, simple. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Wendy. It's another person who's completely unstoppable.
Yeah, I actually saw this, and when I first saw it, I thought this looked like something that Information is Beautiful would have posted or something like that. There's just something about it that is just really, really eye-catching. Maybe it's those icons. I don't know. This is one of the times where I actually love all the different color in there.
Yeah. There's loads of little nice touches, like she's got like the price tags that actually look like tags.
Great. Isn't that great? Yeah, I love it.
And yeah, it's really nice.
Sure, there's elements that are hard to read. That stack bar chart, down to the right is, it's a little difficult to read. But I get the impression that this isn't all about precision. It's not like I need to know exactly what size that green bar is and then compare it to the other country. I mean,
you can see at a glance straight. Like you've got in Poland, the high price for butter and spread, and New Zealand, you've got a huge weight of milk powder.
Right. Exactly. Right? Yeah. Exactly. I'm not sure what's the? Oh, okay.
So the circles are weight, the diamonds are price.
Price. Oh, that's really nice. So Poland, butter and spread is really expensive, and they don't use much of it. That makes sense.
So with Argentina and cream.
Yeah, interesting. I love it. I don't have much.
No, I really like it. I wouldn't. It's not much I'd change. I don't think someone on Twitter had some comments about the chart at the top, at the lollipop charts. Just that they're a little bit, you know, they're kind of floating because they are aligned to the icons below, but it's not immediately obvious.
Oh yeah. You're probably right. But
yeah,
maybe it would have helped to make the price tags or something the same color as those lollipops. Maybe that would kind of tie them together a little bit more. But yeah, I don't think it's. I love it. Mm-hmm. Good job, Wendy.
All right, next up we have Mira.
Yes,
I really like this one. It's like typical Mira style.
Totally. She just does such a good job. It just makes such a difference when you're consistent with the design, like the fonts, the sizes, how she uses some bold to kind of call out a few things. Yeah. I mean, just you walk all the way through this, and that's what I usually do when I pull these things up, is just like go look at the whole thing. It's consistent throughout. It's really, really, really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my pet peeves with highlight tables are when they're really wide or they're overly rectangular. I don't know why. It just is a pet peeve of mine. So if they're really long, but I like them to be pretty close to square.
If they're not square, they're much harder to read, especially if you've got bigger ones. Not so much in this case, but if they're square, they're so much easier to read. So they always do them square.
And I don't think they have to be square exactly, but pretty close to square. And then the other thing is, it almost always needs a marginal histogram with it. It just makes such a difference in understanding the overall. You know, it's like adding a subtotal or a total, a grand total to a chart. It just makes such a huge difference.
It does.
She's got really nice interactivity too when you hover over that highlight table.
And she's also saying, you know, hover and you get some interactivity, you know, rather than just getting a surprise.
Yeah, it's
if I'm going to be really picky, on the highlight table, I'd change the borders to white, just so they, you know, tie into the background. Totally. And the text on the bars is really small, labels.
I agree. I do think they're fairly easy to read, though. But yes, they're a little small.
And also, they're millions, right? So like Chile, it's 9.192 thousand.
Yeah, she should probably just change that to millions.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a quick calc. So I think cause she probably hasn't, because if you look at the individual spices on the right by states, the numbers are smaller. So, but you could do a quick calc. So say if it's, you know, above a million, then show a million.
But does she have ability to get it down to state?
Yeah, it's by Indian states. So if you click, if you look on to the right of the highlight table, she's got the top 3 states that produce.
Oh, I got it.
Each
no,
spice.
I see that. Yeah, I got you.
They're Indian states, not American.
I got you. Yeah. Really nice. I think I don't know if she needs a size legend on the
map.
It just looks like the Michelin Man or the
I hate that little thing.
Guy from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
I don't like it either. I mean, that's not a Mira thing. That's a Tableau thing.
No,
it does really annoy me.
I don't think she really needs it in there, but she's really good. She just keeps getting better and better. So
yeah. Okay, well done, Mira. Okay, next up we have Jenny. So this is the banana viz.
Barham?
No, Jenny Martin.
Okay.
You got it?
Yep.
Yep. So I don't know if you saw the tweet that she sent out for this one, but she like drew her entire viz out on paper first, which is really cool. And then she actually included like hand-drawn bananas, which I think is awesome.
Brittany's bananas about bananas. We throw away 1.4 million edible bananas a day. It's such an interesting little fact because we do it all the time. We buy bananas, we eat a bunch of them, and then they just go bad so quickly.
Oh yeah, I'm really weird. I like green bananas.
You like them green?
Yeah, like they need to have some green on them. If they're too yellow, I won't eat them. So I can say I do that a lot.
I don't mind green ones, but like I'd rather them be all yellow than anything. But
no, once they
get a little bit of brown on them, yeah,
they get those black specks. No, I'm not eating them.
Yeah,
they're too soft. But yeah, we do like bananas. But what I like about this is she's used a font that almost looks like handwriting. And then it ties in with the pictures. So it's almost looks like a hand-drawn viz.
I agree. It's fun, it's post-popular life. Wait, oh, that's interesting. Golly, bananas have been the most popular fruit by weight since 1996. What's the apples? And kicks everybody else's butt.
Mm-hmm. And how cool are those tooltips with those little like emojis?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I really like how she's overlaid the bar chart as well on top of the map, and gets away with it because there's nothing kind of behind there that she's obscuring.
Yeah. That is cool. I noticed that as well. Now I want to make those emojis. So you just bring it in, kind of like bringing in an ASCII character. I guess you can just, somebody tweeted about that, didn't they? You can bring it in little emojis. I have to try that.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's really slick. Originally, I was thinking it was like a business tooltip, but it loads way too quick. So
yeah, it can't be. It's really nice, and the colors are really nice.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, there's a lot of little design elements I like about that. Yeah, the map, I think, how she overlaid it, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, and she includes a recipe. I mean, come on.
Right.
But yeah.
All right.
Well done, Jenny.
Very nice.
Okay, next up we have Pippa. So Pippa works for Lloyds Banking Group in the UK. And she runs like the internal community there. She's awesome. Okay. She spoke at the London Tug when I did a talk on IronQuest, so before TC, and she promised me that she'd enter. So this is her entry.
Oh, very cool. Looks like she's using either a Ken Flerlage or a Klaus or a Ludovic, maybe not Klaus, Ludovic the gradient area chart or gradient sigmoid curvy area chart.
Yeah. So she's looking at when will your recipe taste the best? So like seasonal vegetables. If I click, I don't know, beetroot.
So a couple of things. Just I think the title could be bigger, and I think the text is a little too close to that left-hand margin, just a little bit.
Yeah. One thing I'd say is the filter is really, really long. So you almost don't see the apply button at the bottom.
I did the exact same thing,
so
Sarah.
I clicked on it and it didn't do anything, and I realized why.
So I don't really quite understand the dates.
It's the season.
I need to read this.
So she's talking about seasonality, right? Okay. So when are each of these vegetables or things in season? So if you buy broccoli in August to October, it will be better, because it's in season. It'll taste better.
Okay, that makes sense. When those months are grayed out, they're really hard to see on that blue background.
They are, yeah.
I get it now. It's basically saying October is I've got Apple selected, and it's telling me that October is the come on, Kev. Yeah, I would like to see a little tooltip on that area chart too. Unless it's just taking a while to load. But
I think it's a shame that the filter kind of covers everything. When you click.
I agree.
You pick a food item. You click apply, but you can't actually see it's applied because it's hiding the chart.
Yeah. If you look at the values, they're not. I mean, the longest one is about.
What have you got selected? Because we're looking at different things. What which vegetable are you?
I don't have anything selected. I pulled that filter down and I scrolled all the way down, and the filter is about 2.5 times wider than it needs to be.
Yeah.
So I think that you could probably solve a lot of that by just making the filter less wide and maybe moving it off to the side, or even moving it below, shifting that chart up. Yeah. Or maybe having, what I also see here is a ton of values. Like you said, it's really long. So there's just a ton of values in here. Maybe
she could break it out, because you've got vegetables, fruits. There's even like meat in there. Fish. Maybe we could, if she's made it wider and split, so had individual charts for each thing, like each food group. So fruit, vegetables, meat, fish.
Or add another grouping as a filter, and pick the group and then pick a vegetable where you're trimming that list.
Maybe, and then just show relevant values.
Relevant values,
yeah. But the design I love.
I do too.
I imagine it worked quite well on a phone as well, because it's quite narrow.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
but it wouldn't because of the filter. But in principle, it would.
The colors of the gradient area chart really match up well with the little image at the bottom. So
yeah, they do.
All right, cool.
All right, next up we have Bo McCready. He's another unstoppable person. Did you see his stats for the Viz in Review?
Where he had like a bazillion views.
It's insane, yeah. Insane number of views.
Yeah, he
Reddit.
Figured out the Reddit game.
He's totally nailed Reddit, yeah. I really love this. I just thought of Patrick McCormack instantly when I saw this Viz.
You thought of Patrick McCormack?
Yeah, because of his cheese thing and his cheese head.
You know that he was that Bo used to live up there, right?
Yeah. He said, yeah.
Yeah, this is just a ton of fun. Obviously, we'll go back to what kind of things I said before is, analytically a bar chart would probably work better. You could probably do a radar chart. You could do something like that. But the topic is cheese. And I think that the cheese wheel thing is absolutely perfect. He's just the great colors. I absolutely love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Do you know, there's one thing I'd change. It reminds me a little bit of Samo's popcorn Viz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but there's one thing I'd change is maybe just give it some space, more space at the top, the header, and have a how to read section. So you break off one of those wheels. You put all the points around the edge and give them the full name and everything.
Agreed.
And then take the labels off the actual main Viz.
You're probably right. Yeah.
And then also the lines, they seem to be like you've got the header line and the actual like line around each chart. Then they're misaligned. On mine, they are at least. So I'll just get rid of any borders.
They don't look misaligned to me, but I agree. I don't think the borders are necessary. One thing I did notice, if you look at between brick and brie, at least on mine, there's no border connecting. There's nothing connect. There's no border there.
Well, it's the same all the way down on that row. So
right, yeah. And then what I also noticed is it looks like to me that he drew the background image in Tableau. And one thing when you draw in Tableau, if you're drawing circles, you need to. If you start at 0 degrees, you can't just go to 359 degrees. You have to bring another point back to 0 degrees to connect it. So you can see on the left and the right, he's missing they're not connected.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I noticed. But I mean, generally, I think a few little minor changes. I absolutely love it. You're right. It does remind me of Samo's. I love that you use the background image. I think it's so much easier to understand the values. And you can hover, and it does highlight those individual slices, by the way. So you can.
It does. Yeah, I saw that.
But just the look and feel of it, I absolutely love. But yeah, maybe just making it a little bit bigger and giving it some more breathing room would be nice. But very, very slick, very cool idea.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next up, we have Virginia. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this to display. Keep showing me Bo's Viz. Are you able to click the link?
Yep, I'm there.
All right, it's not working for me. Right, okay. The food insecurity. Okay, so she's focusing on Ashe County, North Carolina. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting. There's no interactivity, so I'm guessing it's purely just Ashe County that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The map. Yeah. I'm not so sure the map gives us much information other than.
No.
I mean, maybe if it was zoomed out a little bit more or something like that, to where you could kind of.
Yeah. So again, the map's not fixed.
Yeah.
So you can zoom out, but it's, you know, I don't think that's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be inclined to show a map of the US and where Ashe County is.
Exactly what I was saying is zoom
you know,
out.
with zero interactivity, just an image.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. And one thing I never like is all the borders, it blocks kind of the blocky borders.
Yeah.
I don't think they're necessary. I don't think you need them.
Yeah, I agree. What I would like to see is how Ashe County compares to anywhere else.
Totally agree.
Because I don't know if these stats are particularly bad or particularly good.
I don't either. Yeah. It says who has low access.
So 5% of the population.
Got it.
Etc. I'd round those percentages up or down as well.
Yeah, to the nearest tenth.
Yeah.
To the hundredth. You almost never need a percentage to the hundredth unless you're dealing with basis points or something like that.
Or like super scientific, precise values.
Or financials where you need to get down to, the 1/100th. But generally speaking, I think you can usually go to a tenth or not even that. In this case, a tenth, I think makes sense. But you're right. And I think we're lacking the context here because, there's for every 1,000 people, there's 1.15 supermarkets, 0.74 convenience stores. That's
okay. I've just noticed something. So at the bottom, it says click on your county to see how it compares. So I've just clicked on the county and the numbers change. I can't see how it compares because everything changes.
That's what I was just going to say. So let's make this two different windows, two different views. Well, that's good that there's interactivity on the map, but two different views to see how it compares to others.
Yeah, like side by side.
When I click on these other ones, like I clicked on Wilkes County, it's kind of to the southeast.
Yeah, I've got it, yeah.
It's much larger.
Yes, it's at 12% of the population.
12%. So
that's just 5 in
Allegheny next to it is smaller, but Johnson to the left is much larger. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe this whole area has
Avery's got 0 across every single one.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that probably that's right. But then you go to this, I can't even tell what this is. There's no label on it. There's a county to the southwest of Johnson, and it comes up as 33% of the population. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'd probably
I can see that. Yeah,
probably do two different windows so you can actually do some comparisons or something like that. I'm not sure.
And then on the right-hand side, she's got for every 1,000 people in the county there are, and then she's got the stats for each thing. It would be nice to show that to say there's X number of supermarkets per 1,000 people. Spin it around the other way, because I think those numbers are they're hard to comprehend.
Agreed. Yeah. All right.
Right, we've got 3 more. Next up, we have Tanvir. So Pakistan's agricultural export.
My first comment is it's so small. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't. It's just.
It doesn't need to be this small.
Yeah, it's really, really narrow. I mean, it's not that. I mean, it's kind of long, which is fine, but I just don't think it needs to be that narrow.
No.
So I mean, I like the header. I'm not sure about that, but green background, I probably.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the green. On the bar chart, I'd change the axes so that they're not rotated.
Totally agree. That was my first thing I noticed, and I also noticed that something's cut off there to the bottom left corner. 1987 looks like it was there. It looks like it's cut off.
Oh, I can see 1987 on mine.
And also 2000 and oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, the tooltip, the bars, you see they're not really lined, the labels aren't lined up with the bars, they're in the middle of the bars.
Yeah, yeah.
So
they're off to the left a little bit on mine.
Yeah, yeah.
On the tooltip, I've just, make a break halfway through so it doesn't make it so wide.
Agreed.
It's just a bit of trial and error to getting it right sometimes.
Yep, agreed. And it renders differently.
Yeah.
Sometimes too, so that's a little tricky. But the map, I would say,
the map is fixed, so it makes a change.
Yeah, that's good. I would probably zoom into it though. If we're focusing in on that area, I'd probably fix it. I think I agree with him fixing it. I would probably just zoom in. At that point, when you're focused on a certain area, I don't really care about cutting off parts of Asia or parts of Africa.
Well, no, but he's saying the destination of the exports, right? So I guess you need to see where they're going to. What would be really nice would be the lines linking countries on this one. Yeah. And the labels are tiny on the map.
Hard to see, yeah. And then the bottom bar chart, we've got labels of in the thousands, and you've got 9 digits. So yeah, I mean, just bring that up to.
Well, that's millions. It's 20. The first one's 29 million.
Yeah. Yeah, bring it up to billions.
Yeah, and yeah, again, it's a floaty bar chart. I don't know.
Never mind. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, hang on. The tooltip on the top exports bar chart, you've got it's showing the bars showing more than one thing. So like the year is showing as an asterisk. Destination, I guess you need to click on the chart above. You need to click through to each chart before you can actually use that tooltip.
Oh,
so you select the year, you select country. It's really slow.
Destination didn't seem to work for me though. That's interesting. Yeah, probably do something more. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, destination doesn't seem to work for me either.
Honestly, I don't know that you even need the tooltip on that bottom bar chart. You've got the label for the value. You've got the label for the export. You're selecting the year, and if you're going to be specifically selecting the year of the destination, I don't think you need that bottom tooltip at all.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
Yeah, I'll just make it bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Ingrid. So Ingrid tweeted way back when I first announced the topic that she wanted to do something on mole, which is I think it's a source from Mexico. Mm-hmm. And she couldn't find like the data or anything, but I'm so happy that she actually did manage to find it. I think she had some help from Rosario with some of the translations.
Okay. European heritage.
And she's actually built like a scrolly telling thing in Mapbox as well that goes with this. But she hasn't published it yet. She just put like a little GIF out. So yeah, she's going to publish that when it's ready.
So one thing I love is the titles. Not that I just don't have the ability to like see in my mind. You know what I mean?
I love it. Yeah, it's really nice.
That's a designer, a total like natural designer type thing that I would never think about putting some brown box behind my titles. It's
so simple, and it's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
This is simple. What I do see is that the lines. The line axis is on top of the circle axis. Those should be flipped. You see the line on top of those circles on all the.
Really? I can't see. Oh, okay. On the lollipops or the barbells. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just flip those.
Yeah. So flip those. I like the timeline.
I like the timeline too.
Hover. History books, tomatoes, yeah. At the bottom right, the little Mexican flag kind of overlaps the chart. I would probably clean that up. But,
ever so slightly, she just makes it a little bit smaller. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it.
I like it. It's nice.
It's consistent design. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, last up we have Ryan. So Ryan's part of the data school.
Hey, one thing before we leave.
Yeah, we'll go back to the mall. Yeah.
Is the one thing that I did notice is you kind of got these two columns of data, of charts, and they kind of have a little bit of misalignment on the books. If you look at books and pepper on top of each other, they're not quite. They are, I think, lined up, but you've got left alignment on the labels on books and right alignment on the labels for pepper, and it makes them look misaligned.
Agreed. Yeah.
I'd probably just make everything left aligned, because that'll make those columns really clear. So I'd probably left align, and it also looks like the font's a little bit darker on the books than it is pepper. So just little tiny things, but
yeah, I think they might be bold. The ones on the books.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you left align everything, it would probably make those margins a little bit easier to see. So
agreed. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So last up, we've got Ryan.
And I know I didn't ask for feedback, but I don't. If we could pull mine up when we're done here, I just want to make a couple comments.
Yeah, sure. I excluded you because you didn't ask for it.
No, I didn't want to waste time on me, but I just want to make just a few little tiny comments. So
all right, sure. All right, yeah. So Ryan's looking at Tesco's, which is a big supermarket in the UK, and where the produce comes from that's sold in Tesco's.
So like before, I think the fonts are small. The font to the right is hard to read. It's kind of bold, and I'd probably just make it not bold and a little bit bigger. And I always like big titles too. I don't know. That's just me. I just like when the titles are bigger.
Yeah, I'd give the title more space and then condense the sub header down. So you like it maybe more like a newspaper kind of column. So it's otherwise it's really wide, and you've got a long way to go before you've got another row. It's quite difficult to read.
I can't. Oh, okay. I was having a hard time getting the filter to work. It says click on the icon to select the vegetables. I was just clicking on the big red bar and the big green bar. It wasn't doing anything. But it's the icon. It looks like it uses a little collapsible container.
Oh.
Just kind of neat.
Where is that?
The top left where it says fruits or.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Red and the green. So if you click on the little icon, you get a little drop down. This looks like maybe like a Lindsay Poulter type. Collapsible container with a parameter action.
That's cool.
Actually, it's really slick how it works.
And the colors changed.
Yeah,
and it's fruit or veg, which is nice.
Yeah, and the map works fantastic because it's showing where he is and where those are coming from. I like it.
I like how the rest of the map is kind of darkened out. So you've got, you can instantly see those countries really clearly.
If you're able to, and I always say this, if you're able to make the map background match the background of your viz, do it. And a lot of people just would have this big square or rectangle block that is different than the rest of their viz. So if you can make the map, we did that in our collaboration, the sea turtle. We just made the whole thing blue, and it really was sharp.
Yeah, we did. That was when they just released that map background as well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
with this one, I mean, I'd be inclined to bring all the text on top of the map.
All the text on top of the
map? So make the stretch the map out. So because you could get away with putting all, like that subtitle on top of the map.
I agree. Yeah, you could even make that. Yeah, agreed. That would really look nice. Instead of, you still have that sort of a little bit of a blocky look because the states, you can see where the map is, but on
the bar chart, I'd take off the axes, on the horizontal axes.
Yes, agreed. And it looks like he has a horizontal axis on the little fruits and vegetables selector up at the top as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that bold white is just a bit much as well. I mean, I don't mind using white on black. A lot of people say never use bright white on dark black. I don't have a problem with it, but I just think the bold makes it just look.
Yeah, there's a lot of different font kind of sizes, bold, not bold. I mean, you've got on the headers on the bar chart, they're grey, and then the labels are white.
Right. Yeah, I think the gray labels actually look a little bit better than the white. Maybe somewhere in between and not bold, it would be nice for the font color throughout. So
yeah. Good job, Ryan.
Yeah.
Right, so you want to look at yours?
Just pop it up real quick.
Let me bring up your profile.
I feel sort of this responsibility to say, like, this is a terrible thing to do. I mean, there's literally, other than me wanting to play with this and make it look pretty, there's literally no reason to make this bar chart.
I did laugh when I saw the warning.
Right, and so I've done that before. I did that in another viz where I actually had a GIF that was blinking, warning, warning, warning. Please read. And I put that in there just because of what I've seen, and I mentioned this before. I've seen in the past people see people well known in the community do something, and then think that they should do that.
Well, in your case, they'll be like, "Well, Kevin did it, therefore it's okay."
I've heard people say, "Well, I saw so and so do this. I can't wait to do this work." And it's like, and I want to just be very clear: this is not something you want to do at work. There may be a use case, and Ken and I talk about this in our presentation at the conference. There's use cases that you want to use radial type charts. If you're looking at direction, say wind direction, maybe you want to look at that. Or in some time series things you want to do that. But generally, if I flatten this bar chart out, it'd sure be a heck of a lot easier to compare those values.
I agree.
Those radios. So
you just need to assess it on a case-by-case basis.
Right, exactly. This is built for fun, and this is built only for fun, nothing more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all I wanted to say. Is I thought it looked pretty. It was fun.
It looks great. I love it.
And that's really it. Now I think there's a couple cool little things. The parameter actions at the bottom. Where you select. Okay, that's nice. Whatever.
Yeah. Just the chart itself is cool because it's not a complete like 180, right? You found it out a bit more.
Yeah. It kind of looked like a fan. Exactly.
Yeah.
And as a side note, I did look into why that the
sugar
price of sugar was so high in the late 2010s, early 2011s.
I saw you put that in the warning, right?
Yeah, I didn't know where else to put it.
Yeah. But, well, that's nice. Yeah.
There isn't really a lot of insights with this data. This data does go really far back, but I just wanted to kind of focus on the smaller area. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of say that, put that out there as
that's fine.
Highly unlikely this would be useful in your day-to-day work. So
yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me again. Second time. I really appreciate it and for taking the time, and it's taken quite a while to get through all these. But yeah, I hope everyone finds the feedback useful. Feel free to reach out to us if you've got any questions. The next round of IronQuest will be announced in the next couple of days. So watch the space.
Wonderful. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Sarah.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.